For analysis, let's turn now to Guy Ziv. He's an associate professor for the School of International Service at American University. Guy, thank you for joining us. From what you've seen today of this footage, the biggest offensive seen from Hamas in 50 years, how do you see it playing out? How bad do you think it could get? Are we talking an all-out war here?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not just the biggest offensive by Hamas in 15 years.
Sorry, I said 50. I meant to say 50.
Oh, 50 years, yes. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, this is the worst day in Israel's history since the Yom Kippur War, whose anniversary was indeed precisely 50 years ago. But this is viewed as Israel's 9/11. It is an absolute devastating day for the Israeli people because it was an unprovoked attack by Hamas that somehow successfully penetrated Israel by land, by air, and by sea. And so far, we've seen over 300 Israeli casualties, well over 1,500 injured, dozens of people are missing, many people have been taken captive, and thousands of rockets have been fired at Israeli cities. So the answer is yes, we're talking about a state of war here that is not going to end within days and possibly not even within weeks.
While you say it's unprovoked, yes, Israel was caught off guard, which would, of course, go to the intelligence situation and whether or not they failed. But is it fair to say that Netanyahu's leadership allowed tensions to also rise dramatically, particularly given the Israeli settler violence against Palestinians over the past year?
Well, first of all, it was an unprovoked act of aggression. So yes, I think it is fair to say this was an unprovoked act of aggression by a terrorist group that clearly does not distinguish ordinary civilians from soldiers. What we saw today was not just soldiers, but entire families with children being taken hostage. Hamas fighters broke into people's homes. They shot innocent people point blank. Residents of Moshav, which is a cooperative farmers village by the south, were murdered in cold blood. So this was definitely an unprovoked act of aggression. Now, having said that, Netanyahu certainly bears a good deal of responsibility for being caught off guard, right? This disaster happened, fell under his watch. His government's push for very controversial judicial overhaul that would weaken the Supreme Court, despite widespread public opposition in Israel, led to a serious deterioration of cohesion in Israeli society in general and within the IDF in particular, which in turn harmed the IDF's operational readiness. So Israel's enemies were able to sense this weakness and have been looking for various ways to exploit it.
The US provides $3.8 billion in unconditional military aid annually to Israel. They're in a very good position to launch a war, as Netanyahu has said that he is. Where does and can Palestinian authorities get their support from?
Well, first of all, I wish to say that the United States has always been Israel's patron. So Israel has long received foreign aid, military aid from the United States. Palestinians receive much less aid. Palestinians also have received aid from Arab countries, from Gulf countries. But there is obviously an asymmetry here. I think what's important is that this particular attack, this devastating attack that occurred today, really punishes ordinary Palestinian people. This sets back any hope for a peaceful resolution, and an untold number of deaths and casualties will result from the war.
And there's no telling really how bad it can get. Iran's main proxy group in the region, Hezbollah, says it is in full coordination with Hamas after it launched the massive multi-pronged attack on Israel. Are we likely to see a Hamas-Hezbollah kind of situation in terms of going into a defensive against Israel? And what could that do, not just for relations, as you spoke of just now, between Israel and Palestine, but what will it do for Middle East, politics in general?
Well, I think one question is what will happen with the Abraham Accords that President Trump reached and that President Biden was hoping to build on, with Saudi Arabia being kind of the key player here that was on its way, or seemingly on its way, to a normalization deal with Israel. I think right now the focus is going to be on saving as many lives as possible, or I should say preventing a great loss of life. But I think right now the top priority for Israel will be to eliminate the military wing of Hamas, which will be no easy feat and probably will entail a ground war and a prolonged fighting. And the hope is that it will not turn into an outright regional war that involves Hezbollah in the north. Already, the IDF is trying to make sure that the northern border is secure. But when Palestinians, when Hamas is attacking Israel, along with Islamic Jihad, and possibly with the coordinated effort and support, logistic and otherwise, by Iran, this could spill into a larger war that we need to carefully monitor.
All right, we'll leave it there. Guy Ziv, really appreciate your time. Associate Professor for the School of International Service at American University.